What's the matter with you? This is not the...
I know, but it's raining outside. It's freezing cold.
But
And
it's
I
not
just-
raining here and it's not too cold.
I know, just give me a minute to warm up and then
Do you know what?
I might be better.
I'll tell you, I promise you, by the time tomorrow morning you wake up, it's going to be much better.
I hope so.
Do you know why?
Yes.
Let's tell him after the intro. Hey there, underwater filmmakers. Welcome back to another episode of reviewing your underwater films in our steamy hot studio. And Sebastian has this hotness has gotten to him now too, so he's taken off his jacket. But that's actually not the reason. Do you want to tell him?
No.
You don't? Okay, well then I tell him. We're very excited because by the time you're actually watching this video, we are sitting in the airplane on our way to the Maldives for our group trip on the beautiful MV Kiana, an 11-night cruise in the central atolls, diving the best spots of the Maldives, capturing those spots for you so we can show you occasionally when we get back. But for the time being, we are down underneath the surface enjoying what we love doing best, and the weather is also a little bit better than here in Switzerland at that time of the year, so hopefully you won't need to be too much cold in the next 12 days.
For sure.
For sure. Okay, I'll remind you when you come up after a dive and you're shivering from being in the water for too long.
After 2 hours watching sharks or something. It's okay.
We'll see. We'll see. All right, but that's not why we're here today. While we are flying over to the Maldives, we want to give you guys a chance to watch another Reviewing Your Underwater Films episode. And who is the filmer who's submitting his video or her video today?
Today's video is from Icon. And Icon was filming with his GoPro 11 and two Scuba Lamps V4K.
Nice.
And I think he will tell us by himself what he was doing.
He's going to tell us. Well, I'm curious now. Let's have a look.
Hey everyone, Icon here, and today is the 11th of March, and this is my dive report for today. I went diving with Abyss Scuba Diving, and it was just fantastic. The weather was great, the water was warm, and visibility was just fantastic. Our first dive site is Magic Point, and we saw heaps of shark. It was just amazing to see them in their natural habitat. For a second dive, we went to Malabar Shipwreck off the coast of Malabar Beach. The visibility was great. It's just mind-blowing, something that I have not experienced diving here in Sydney for a long time. We went to see parts of the ship that's still there, also heaps of fish. As you can see, I'm already home. I have my camera here and I have my gear here, and I'm going to unpack and clean all of this. While I'm doing that, you guys enjoy the video. Don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe. Thank you for watching. I'll see you next time. My name is Icon, and this is A Weekend Warrior. See ya!
right.
All right. Icon, thank you very much. Or Icon. Icon, was it?
Icon.
Icon. Thank you very much for submitting your film, your video here, and letting us review it within this series. I enjoyed it. What are your thoughts about what we just saw?
I liked the idea. Yeah, it was not. It was like nice idea. Just take us along and telling us what he's doing, and then the music was nice. Well, not impressed, but I was surprised about the colors of the GoPro. I mean, I'm not sure if it's true to life colors, but it were most of them nice colors. It was a nice image.
Yeah. I think that Icon was using a red filter. We don't know about that, right? It doesn't say anything in the.
No, I checked it during the video,
email.
But I can't see anything now.
So we don't really know, but I'm assuming that Icon was using a red filter, which would explain the higher contrast and the saturation of the wide-angle shots, which worked well for most of the shots. I think you could see a bit of a problematic on shots which had objects that were closer to the camera, which then would be lit up by the lights that he was using. And that's my assumption. I'm not sure if that's true, but using the red filter and the lights would make the subjects closer to the camera a little more reddish. I don't think that the cuttlefish that we saw really is that red in nature. I think that happened. Don't look at me that way.
It's the famous
red cuttlefish.
Violet red cuttlefish.
Yeah, you go make fun of me, but not in my studio. Go somewhere else.
No, I agree. I think it's exactly what you said. Yeah.
So yeah, I think that let's just dive right in there, right into the criticism and right into the review of the footage. I think that it's probably one of the biggest things that I can pass on from seeing this video to you is to remember to keep the red filter on and the lights off when you're shooting proper wide angle, and when you shoot something where your object is, not further than 1.5 meters away from you, try to take the red filter off and put the lights on, or keep the red filter on, but then you would need to get some ambient blue filters for your lights so that the object that's in the foreground is not turning out to be too red compared to the rest of your image. Put in hopefully simple enough words.
Yep. And I think Scuba Lamp, he was using 2 Scuba Lamps.
Yeah.
And Scuba Lamp, I think, has kind of ambient filters.
They do,
for it. So it's a nice little piece of equipment to use.
Yeah. The only problem with the ambient blue filters is that putting the red filter on your camera is already reducing the light sensitivity of your camera, and then putting the blue filters on your lights is also going to reduce the output power that is actually going to reach your object again. So you're just minimizing the light sensitivity and the brightness of your image that way. But it is definitely something that I would suggest you look into using these ambient blue filters, or on the other hand, as we said, just try to remember that wide angle, red filter on and lights off, and if you get closer to your object, take that red filter off the camera and use the lights instead. I do want to say something about the intro. I really enjoyed that. I think that was very well done. I've got one suggestion for next time. I think it would be actually a nice idea to, when you talk about, the first dive and then the second wreck dive, why not use some B-roll? Because you've got the footage that you took underwater. Why not use just 2 or 3 clips that you've taken underwater and that you can also show later on in the film? Just use them as a B-roll overlay while you're talking about your day. You could potentially hide some of these hard cuts that were visible, making it a little nicer. But at the same time, you give some perspective as to what you're talking about while you're talking about it. So that's just a little suggestion that I have for you there. And also, and this is something very personal, lose the sunglasses. I don't really like having sunglasses or having someone talk to me with sunglasses on. I'm missing the eye contact. But again, that's very personal. I would lose the sunglasses and make that eye contact with the camera and your viewership. I think that the connection is going to be stronger that way.
I will get my sunglasses now.
Don't, please. Right, what else have you got?
I got something about the length of the video in total and the length of different clips. And I think both are a little bit too long. The video itself is about 7 minutes or something.
20 or something, yeah.
So I think, yeah, if you can bring it down by 50%, it's much more dynamic. Like dynamic, you can watch it easily. 7 minutes is quite long for that kind of content, I think.
Yeah, agreed.
And for the clips, well, some clips over the rec are a little bit too long. So like you show it, it's really nice. You see the subject, you see something, can realize what it is, and it keeps going.
Yeah.
So I would make it the cut a little bit earlier.
Yeah.
This would already reduce the length of the video.
Yeah, I do agree. Yeah, and I also think that specifically, like the first part wasn't bad with the shark dive.
No.
That was fine. But the second part with the wreck was just like in relation to the first part, it was too long. The clips were a little too long. It was fitting to the music, yes, but you could lose quite a bit of those clips. Also because some of them are quite repetitive. So for someone who's been on that dive, it's nice to see that. But for someone who hasn't been on that dive, it's like I think half of that would have been sufficient to get a first impression of what you were seeing on that dive and get that feeling across, keeping those a little shorter. So yeah, I do agree on that. Yeah. Also, I would like to mention something about the speed ramping. I think I saw some speed ramping happening there in the second part, the wreck part of the film, and I can understand why you did it. I think you just wanted to show more of the clip, but didn't want to have that whole length in there. So you just sped it up by maybe double the original speed. And that just, for me, it always looks weird if I see a fish swimming like this. It's not quick enough for a proper speed ramp, but it's too fast for me to not realize it is sped up, right? So personally, no, I wouldn't do that. If you want to do a speed ramping, do a proper speed ramping where you really speed it up by, I don't know, 2000% or something for like a very short amount so you can get like a proper speed ramp and then slow it down to original or to slow motion again, like you've done on quite a few clips here. But that jittery, fishy thing there, it's not something that I really enjoy seeing on underwater clips, if that makes sense.
It does.
It does.
It does.
Excellent. I'm glad it does. It's going to be our new running gag. All right. Then what else? Yes, I also would like to say that I really enjoyed your choice of music. I think both pieces of music fitted the according sequences that we saw. And oftentimes, and we talked about this in previous reviews that we watched, that oftentimes if you have two different music pieces in one clip, in one film, it oftentimes doesn't really go together very well because there's like this abrupt change in music, which I didn't feel that way in this film, simply because the first piece of music, you really let it run out, and then the second piece came in with that view of the top side of the wreck with all the little fish swimming like as sort of silhouettes against the sun, and that I found that was a really nice and clever way of transitioning from one dive site to another dive site without having to do anything crazy in terms of transitions. So very, very well done on that one from my side. I really enjoyed that.
Yep. What I liked as well was how stable the shots are.
Yes, true.
And I think it is. Well, I'm not sure if you did any post stabilization with the editing software, but I think definitely one point why it's so stable is the tray.
Yeah.
We saw the tray with the two
the
lights on it, and I think it's big enough and gives you enough stability to produce with the GoPro stable footage, and that's very nice.
I agree. Yeah.
Because like it gives a very nice view over the wreck. If it's shaky like that, I mean. You can't show the wreck that long.
Yeah.
People will just, I don't like it.
It's true. True. I agree.
So I loved it, yeah.
Anything else?
No.
I've got one more.
Go ahead.
No, it's nothing to do with the fish this time. The last thing that I've got is the positioning and the framing of your shots. Now, I'm talking about the wreck specifically. With the sharks at the beginning, it seemed to be a little deeper. And it was sometimes a little hard because I think they were a little further away. So like the colors and the contrast and stuff was a little harder to achieve. But that's just the way this dive was. So there's not really much that you can do about it. But on the second dive with the wreck, you had some really nice shots where you could really see the colors of the wreck and the stuff that was growing on the wreck. You could see this really, really well. And I guess it's because in these shots where we can see those colors quite nicely is because you've positioned yourself, whether that was intentionally or not, but you've positioned yourself in a way so that the sun was behind you and was acting as, you know, that big light that was just lighting up the scene and the dive site for you. Also, I don't think it was too deep on that second dive. But anyway, it was lighting up your scene and you were able to get some nice contrast, some nice colors, clarity and stuff. And then there was a couple of shots where you were doing the opposite. Again, whether that was intentional or not. And you were moving towards the wreck, but the sun was now coming, you know, from the opposite side. So it was really hard for the camera to compensate and fight against the light that was coming from the front. And therefore you ended up with silhouetted shots, which was great when we started off with the first shot of being at that second dive site. But then there was a couple of shots where it felt like you wanted to show the wreck, but you didn't really, because you could just see the silhouette of the wreck and then the bright background of the water with the sun coming in. So try to think of that too next time, and think a little more about your positioning in regards to where the sun is and where your object is. And I always say you always want to have yourself positioned in between the sun and your object. That's the best way for you to get the most light onto your object and the most pleasing image, in my opinion.
I agree with that opinion.
Thank you. Again, thank you. All right. Excuse me. So that's it from my side. If you don't have anything else, would you like to sum it up?
Yeah, I'd like to. I'd like to.
Go ahead.
I can thank you very much for your submission and let us review your video. We really like the format of the video. Like you started with talking about the dive side and then getting into really nice footage. We liked how stable your shots were and how nice the colors were most of the time. Yeah. We talked about the red colors. So we think you can work on using a red filter and lights in wide angle scenes and in macro scenes. So just be careful when to use lights and when to use filters. We think as well you can work on the overall length of the video and on the overall clip length. Just set the cuts sometimes a little bit earlier and try to reduce the overall length of the video just to keep it short and nice. And one other thing Matthias mentioned was the speed ramping. So if you try to use speed ramping, just really make the audience feel the impact. And use it that way when using speed ramming. You really have to feel it.
Nicely said. Thank you.
Thanks. Please go ahead.
Oh, right.
You want to talk? You want to talk?
No,
again. I saw it in your face.
Are you finished with your sum up?
I'm finished. Yeah.
Excellent. Well, there's actually not much for me to talk about anymore, other than saying thank you. Thank you, Icon, for your submission. As always, we're going to put Icon's, the link to Icon's film and his YouTube channel down in the video description below, so you can go and check out the other stuff that he's got on his YouTube channel. If you guys want us to review one of your films, then please do send us an email to contact@matthiaslebo.com and let us know what equipment you've used. Obviously, we need to link to the uploaded film, what equipment you've used, where it was filmed, and any other information that you find might be useful for us when reviewing the film here on the channel. Right, and we're pretty much at the end, but one thing we shouldn't really forget, and that's to thank the sponsor of today's video, the great people at DiveFork. DiveFork, the only system out there on the market to date that makes you capable of using the touchscreen of your smartphone, to use the camera of your smartphone to film and take photos underwater, or you can even watch a movie with that underwater if you really want to. I wouldn't really recommend that, but I mean, if you're on a decompression stop and you have to kill a couple of hours there, why not use that to watch your favorite Netflix show underwater? And trust me, I've tried it. You can even hear the sound through the water, because water transports that sound much better than air. So if you crank up the volume all the way, you can even watch your favorite Netflix show underwater while you're doing your decompression stops. So thank you guys from DiveFork for sponsoring this series here, and also for giving the viewers a very special deal. You guys will get a 6% extra discount on any purchase that you're making from the DiveFork store. You can use the link down in the video description below to access that discount, or simply use the code Matthias Lebo at checkout.
Well said.
Thank you. Oh, we're so friendly to each other today.
I know. It's because we will sit in the plane for the next 10, 11 hours.
Next to each other. Yeah, probably. So we're just making up for that. Excellent. That's all from us for today. Unless you have something else you would like to add to today's video.
See you next week.
Okay, let's do this together. Okay, have a great week, guys. Keep capturing all your amazing underwater adventures, and we'll see you next Thursday.